Hello Eternum and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news, and this is the War Report.
No change in the dynamic of Eternum last night as Elysian forces went out in both Weaver's Fen and Monarch's Bluff. Regime forces were out on patrol last night in Windsward and ran into a small group of marauding Plankta dogs, who were quickly rebuked. Tensions are high all around, with the harshest winter in Eternum's history being extended 2 weeks due to Yeti. Company leaders are desperate for shelter. To that end, 2 more simulated fantasy combat resolutions tonight, brought to you by LARPCO brand simulated fantasy combat gear. Up first in Brightwood, founding house Primordus Virtue has returned to retake that which was originally theirs from those who took it from them, the Marauders of Kokiotos. Primordus Virtue purchased the lot, accepted refugees from Everfall, and created the roadmap for success in Brightwood that Kokiotos now follows. Has Primordus developed a new strategy to take advantage of the harsh winter in the woods? Have they acquired some new and improved Dr. Bombastus brand bear urine repellent? And are the forces of Kokiotos well rested enough and prepared to defend for 30 minutes? In the late matchup, it's the forces of CN Panda trying for the 3rd time to capture the bamboo forest preserves of Ebonscale from the forces of Elysian. CN Panda lost Ebonscale to Elysian after challenging the Syndicate Company to their claim in Reekwater. The retaliation was swift and happened the same night, and since then, CN Panda has been trying to resecure what they consider their forever home. Will this time be successful? We'll have the outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News.
Good evening Eternum and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. Last night, KOTT News crews had an opportunity to help a fellow member with investigating Amrine Temple. This reporter was able to dust off some basic skills, and with the help of Mansa Musa, safely escort our newest member to the exit. When asked about his experience with KOTT so far, they had this to say.
You guys did a dungeon, and I requested it, and it was amazing.
En route to that encounter, I happened upon a gentleman along the road who assisted in putting down a corruption flare-up. For their diligent efforts despite the progression of their years, Old Villager is this week's Citizen of the Week. Only one officially LARPCO-sanctioned simulated fantasy combat event tonight, and it's the marauding instigators initiating interpersonal interaction in Weaver's Fen against the forces of Elysian 69. The instigators' initial instigating initiated in Morningdale against the forces of Regime. Additional instigating occurred in Monarch's Bluff, and now it's Weaver's Fen. Will implementing this tertiary instigation inspire a victory? No immediate indications of impossibility exist. Be sure to tune in for complete coverage and reaction from the citizens at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello Eternum and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news, and this is the War Report. Dynamic change in the history of Eternum last night as the instigators insert themselves into leadership of Weaver's Fen. KOTT News was on the scene interviewing Aurum Profanum leadership about their intentions when the moment happened. We asked Mr. Wolf TV how he felt about the outcome.
It's good. We'll see more green on the map. That's good for the server.
KOTT News crews were also able to get a response from a member of the instigators as well.
The boys did well. They pulled through. So I'm about to, I guess, join them for the victory party.
And while the instigators celebrate their victory, companies of all factions still need a place to shelter through the harshest winter in Eternum's history. Which gives us 4 official simulated fantasy combat events tonight, brought to you by LARPCO. Up first, former founding house Running Dawn is back in a big way, declaring war on the forces of Elysian for control of Monarch's Bluff. Members of Running Dawn swam ashore on day 1, some taking well over 15,000 meters getting to the island, so you know they're battle ready. Meanwhile, Elysian forces have been sheltering from the harsh winter while allowing open tryouts for potential new members, so it could go either way. Afterwards, the forces of Vendetta give it another go in Reekwater against the Iron Chefs of Elysian. Vendetta must have felt good about their efforts last week and seem poised to present a top dish. For Elysian, a squad of top sous chefs have been training for this day and their chance to also become Iron Chefs. Simultaneously, in Morningdale, the forces of Regime will have their hands full fending off the syndicate forces of B4B. Little is known about the ambitious company of B4B, their intentions for the hamlet, or the death wall to the north. But much is known about the defenders of Regime, who will, no doubt, be able to give B4B a spiritual moment on the battlefield. And finally tonight, it's Aurum Profanum attempting to bring enlightenment to the Marauders of Evora in First Light. This is the second fight for Profanum, just 3 days after their loss to Elysian 69 in Weaver's Fen, turning their attention away from the peat moss oil fields and to the spice markets of First Light. But now that Evora has had a taste of seasoning, will they want to give it up? We'll have the outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello Eternum and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the Peace Report. Good morning Eternum, JChalant here, encouraging all of you to rest up during this time of peace. If you've been feeling under the weather lately, take some extra time to really feel better. After all, it's the harshest winter in Eternum's history, and it's more like a marathon than a sprint. No change in the dynamic of Eternum last night, as all defending companies held strong. LARPCO strong. But there's little time to celebrate, as the corruption continues to grow and assail the citizens of Eternum throughout the evening tonight. In Brightwood, contact the forces of Kokiotos to volunteer your efforts. In Windsward, Regime will be your faithful point of contact. Get in touch with the shipwrights of Regime RP Town to defend the Restless Shore. And in Weaver's Fen, you'll want to say hello to the beer-brewing hipster hippies of the Instigators. To protect the medicinal hot springs of Ebonscale, sign up with Elysian. Say ahoy to Regime Yacht Club in landlocked Everfall to help out there. Help defend the Death Wall in Northern Morningdale with the Great House of Regime. And finally, show off your culinary skills in Reekwater with the Iron Chefs of Elysian. Be sure to tune in for complete coverage and reaction from the citizens at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello Eternum and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. Late entry into the official LARPCO-sponsored Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution log, and it's the marauders forces of Murderous making moves in the Restless Shore, attempting to sink the shipwrights of Regime RP Town. Regime RP Town has been diligently constructing their great ship in the harbor of Restless Shore, where it's moored, welcoming all who would wish to participate peaceably. But peaceful isn't exactly how I would describe a group of self-proclaimed murderous marauders, especially when they try to sneak their war in without me being able to make a report. We'll have the outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello Eternum and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. No change in the dynamic of Eternum last night, as Regime RP Town defend the final flag for 6 minutes to retain control of Restless Shores. This reporter was able to secure an interview with one of the participants prior to the battle.
I'm just hoping to hit my shots tonight. We just want to come up with that W at the end.
This reporter was also able to acquire a press pass for the event, in which all participants agreed to limit themselves to muskets and void gauntlets. And with the help of Murderous, Kokiotos, Civil Riot, Evora, The Instigators, and Broadpaw Co-op, I was able to accomplish multiple War Correspondent challenges. 3 official simulated fantasy combat resolutions tonight, brought to you by LARPCO. Remember, if it isn't LARPCO, it's cardboard. First, in Monarch's Bluff, the Marauders of Black Dawn Guard divide the already strained forces of Elysian Reclamation. This will be Black Dawn Guard's second attempt to secure land for themselves from the forces of Elysian, having failed in Ebonscale 2 weeks ago. For Elysian Reclamation, they have been sheltering in place, avoiding the harshest winter in Eternum's history. But if it's a fight you want, a fight they shall give. Simultaneously in Ebon Scale, the overzealous cult of huntsmen attempt to secure the medicinal hot springs from the other half of Elysian Reclamation forces. Tonight will be the cult of huntsmen's second fight as well, and they're hoping their faith in the death wall nearby will see them through. But the medicinal herbs and healing hot springs of Ebon Scale are a great prize in the accomplishments of Elysian. Who knows how this will impact their decision when dividing their forces. And finally tonight, the mathletes of Calculus make a move on the Spice region of First Light against the forces of Evora. Calculus appears to have shifted their attention away from the Syndicate territory and hope to outperform Marauders out here on the coast. So let this third challenge be one of attrition. Solve as many problems as present themselves before you, before the horns go off and the pencils go down. Be sure to tune in for complete coverage and reactions from the citizens at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello Eternum and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. Dynamic change in the history of Eternum last night as the forces of Cult of Huntsmen supplant Elysian Reclamation for control of Monarch's Bluff. Cult of Huntsmen were quick to take control of the keep on the bluff, rapidly deploying their own colors to adorn the encampment. In town, priorities were assigned to various hamlet upkeeping tasks, including a new smelter upgrade. KOTT News was unable to secure an interview with newly established leadership, but will bring you more on this story as it develops. Over to JC with the corruption report, and it looks like a light shower with a 36% chance of invasion. So craft early and mission board late. KOTT News would like to alert its subscribers that we will be deploying mobile reporting protocols soon. More on that at 11. Until next time, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello Eternum and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. Little damage from corruption invasions last night, but 2 LARPCO simulated fantasy combat events to tell you about tonight. First up, former founding house Primordus Virtue responds to the Instigators, who have started doing things in Weaver's Fen. The Instigators immediately increased medicinal insurance for incidents in Weaver's Fen, prioritizing their arcane repository for upgrading. The Instigators' efficiency of citizen care does not appear to be incidental to their home brewing practices, but rather in addition to, and they seem to be content sheltering in place, having performed kitchen upgrades as well. And now the Ebon Scale Tourism Council would like to say a special word. Hey listen, we know it's been tough. It's been harsh on us too. Who could have imagined 2 more weeks of the harshest winter in Eternum's history? But local onsen operators want you to know, regardless of faction, you are always welcome here to the Healing Hot Springs of Ebon Scale. The medicinal healing hot springs of Ebon Scale can soothe all your aches and pains. Whether you need a deep massaging hot spring shower or a soothing plunge into their wisping with steam open bath ponds scented with lavender. Overnight accommodations are available at the Scenic Inn, which overlooks the entire city and has a view of the island. Extended accommodations for those regarded as HMFIC are available at a premium for those seeking a more isolated experience. So come on by the Healing Hot Springs of Ebon Scale after the war, invasion, outpost rush, or expedition, or any time in between, and soothe your aches and pains away. In the second fight of the night, Ashoku Geki and Reekwater as the forces of Vendetta bear down on the Iron Chefs of Elysian. Elysian forces continue to allow for open tryouts as aspiring Iron Chef continue to defend the coastal fishing town. And how will the challengers of Vendetta fare when the secret ingredient is revealed? We'll have the outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. Dynamic changes in the history of Eternum last night as Primordius Virtue takes control of Weaver's Fen. Primordius was quick to adorn the keep in their colors and secure the peat moss oil fields surrounding the hamlet. KOTT News was live at 11 in Weaver's Fen, getting reactions from citizens when Prince Jarvan made himself available for interview. Congratulations on your victory. Once again, Primordius Virtue finds itself with a home, the only founding house with a foundational right of ownership to any land on the island. How do you feel after tonight's victory?
The cold days are over. It's pretty warm here in Weaver's Fen.
You got plenty of oil here. You'll be able to keep the citizens warm and cared for the remainder of the winter, I hope.
I want to thank everybody. Much appreciated. All the supporters, all the people that support Primordius until since the beginning. All the people that I've lost, thank you. All the people that became haters, thank you. That's it.
No simulated fantasy combat resolutions to report on tonight, so over to JC with the weather. 50% chance of invasion tonight, so be sure to button up tight out there as you craft early and mission board late. Leave a comment below if you think you have a hot scoop. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News.
That's it.
Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report.
Peace in Eternum last night as company leadership shelter in place during the harshest winter in Eternum's history. KOTT News would like to remind its subscribers of the free items available on the secondary market for a limited time and subject to change. Only one simulated fantasy combat resolution event on the schedule for tonight, and it's the Marauders of Vendetta attempting to secure the Restless Shore from the Zealots of Iterum. This is the 5th attempt by Vendetta to secure land, and their 4th in the last week and a half. For Iterum, formerly known as Regime RP Town, this will be their 3rd defense against marauding forces. No word yet on agreed-upon rule sets. Be sure to tune in for complete coverage and reactions from the citizens at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News.